right, guys, we're at the end of April. The good thing is we're past tax season, or some of you who got your taxes extended, but it's well past us. And now we're heading into May because now things are starting to get rolling. Because now we're thinking about Spring Brookline. That's on May 17th. And hopefully we'll see at least some of you there. And of course, the tables are slowly but surely being purchased, but I'm sure we're going to get the usual hockey stick come the beginning of the month of purchases. But in terms of announcements, there is probably only one I can offer here, and that is on May 2nd to 3rd is Near Fest 37 in New Boston, New Hampshire. And that's both on Friday and Saturday. And so if you're near Festers, Tom, I don't know, maybe you'll be one of those attending, but maybe others as well. But that's probably the biggest event coming right around the corner in early May. Um, otherwise, um, otherwise, of course, after that, the weekend after that is Kutztown. Hey, Bob, are you going to be going to Kutztown?
That's my goal. I'm trying to not do anything else until cuts down because that's just a real big deal. I've always enjoyed the show. I've been bending there for probably 11, 12 years now. I've been going there for about 18, 19 years. It's got to be on the bucket list of people that like antique radio. Just go once.
I know it's on my list. It definitely is. I have to pull myself up there one of these
And
years.
I've been beat because I wanted to go out to Dayton, right? Especially after I got my license, but I just couldn't because I was working too many hours. But I never got to see the Coliseum where they used to have the event. Now it's all out mostly outdoors and other areas. So, but Kutztown is definitely something and it's great too because you can bring if you bring your wife and kids and grandkids and something there for everybody. And there's also a small group of stores where you can buy fresh fruit and vegetables to bring home with you. And just there's Amish people there serving up a lot of this stuff, and it's really, really good stuff.
If you bring the
So,
family, though, then there's less room for all the radios to take home.
that's
Uh,
true. Well, what you do is
yeah.
you bring something with a roof rack, and that way you can you tie the kids up on the roof rack and drive home.
Yeah.
That's true. Noah, you could take your Ford
Yeah, the Flex.
Max,
Oh, the Flex would be
the Flex, I
awesome.
mean, and throw a roof rack on top of it. My God, can you imagine how much you could bring home with you?
Yeah, trailer
Or a
hitch.
trailer it. You could put, and if you're worried about the weather, put the family in the trailer.
I only do one trip to Pennsylvania in the Flex per year, and that's in July for Chrysler's at Carlisle. So
Yeah.
That's a,
Carlisle.
I'd love to go there. That's another sort of, there's a few of those
Well,
major shows.
Kutztown's only another hour from Carlisle.
Yeah.
That close.
Somebody should do a walkthrough of Carlisle for us. I've never been there, but I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I would too.
I don't know
I haven't
anything
gone
with
in a
enough
long time, but
memory. I
it's a lot
wouldn't
of
know
fun.
how.
Yeah.
They have a lot of special events. Like I'm sure Noah's going for the Mopars at Carlisle, and they have different events for different types of cars and things
Yep.
over there.
Yeah,
So
there's
it's
something going on
pretty
almost
good.
every weekend in the summertime.
Yes,
In my misspent youth, when I had a little bit more leisure
pocket
time
money.
and fewer brain cells, I would go to the mixed the mixed makes. I'd go to the fall Carlisle and buy things cheaply that people didn't want to get stuck with having to store all winter and then
Winter.
bring them
Yeah.
back in the spring and then sell them when all the pent up demand is out there and people are willing to overpay. You can basically make 10, 15, 20% on whatever you bought in the fall by reselling it in the spring.
Flipping.
Mhm.
The early days of flipping stuff. Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, that's even true I mean, even in our shows, I mean, truth be told, that if you have sellers who would like to move some of their stuff, and some people wait to the end of the show working deals right at the end, and there's sort of that, oh, okay, I'll sell it to you for this, even though they really didn't want to, it's to move it.
Well,
So,
I just go to the Brookline show, go to the free table, and then drag all that stuff to Castleton.
Yeah, and sell it. Hey, and yeah, and as you guys know, as you've seen from the photos, the free table quality of the items on the free table has markedly improved.
Yep.
So there were stuff that rightfully belonged in a dumpster back in the day, and now the stuff arriving saying, "Hey, that's almost sellable on someone's table." Why did you know? And you're like, "Hey, who am I to argue?" Even I took home something, which is speaks something because I usually never take
Wow.
anything off the free table, and I took something home, and I'm still playing with it. That's another little project I'm working on. Repair my eight-track deck with the new, put on new, uh, um,
Belts.
yeah, well, you just do a full servicing on it, but at any rate, in terms of so that's all the big announcements. Does anyone have anything to announce beyond what I just covered? There's two big events coming around the corner.
Well, I went to the MIT show last weekend,
Oh, right.
and it was surprisingly well attended for Easter. I was sort of worried that it might be light in attendance, but it was pretty good. I measured the number of people by how many floors of the parking lot are taken up. And this was, let me see, one, two, three, four, five. This was a 6-floor meet. So
Wow.
that's a pretty good one. I'd say we had maybe 200 dealers, something like that. And unfortunately, it is now mostly computer stuff. There used to be some radio gear that showed up, but I would say that the only radio gear that I saw was a guy who brought a lot of World War II vintage military stuff that he didn't know what it was, and it was pretty neat stuff, but nobody even looked at it. I set up my Enigmas, and that's always a really big thing. People throng around the Enigma table. Whoa, whoa, whoa. How much is it? Oh, you don't want to know. So that's kind of fun. And I'm looking forward to a Near Fest very much. Just hoping that the weather will be reasonable. At least in the old Near Fest, there were a couple of places you could go indoors. And with this one, there's just one big building that you can go into, but it's pretty weather dependent. Although it's so popular, the people walk around in pouring rain and be perfectly happy. But if you're going to sleep there, that's a different issue.
Well, if you have a chance, Tom, if you are going and can take a few photos to share, we'd love to
Yeah,
see something, see what was give us a near fest report.
yeah, I will
Maybe
do
I don't
that.
know.
And maybe Russ also
Yeah, I was
take
going to say
some
Russ.
pictures. And between the
Yeah, I
two
could
of
grab
us, we
some too.
might have some pictures that'll be fun.
Yeah, give us a near fest report for sure, at least. But yeah, that's that. One of these days I'll get up there. I won't be able to get to it because I will be tied up, but I do need to go one of these years just to check it out, just to
Yeah.
walk around.
Be sure that you realize that the real show is on Friday, not Saturday.
Right.
Um, by Saturday, I don't know why. It makes more sense that people would show up on Saturday because they're out of work, maybe, and it isn't that way at all. And same thing in Germany in Friedrichshafen. The big day is Friday, and by Saturday, the attendance is still pretty good, but it's down a lot.
Well, at that point, it should be considered a holiday. They should.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think one of the obvious reasons that Fridays are good is that people think they're going to get bargains that'll be all gone by Saturday, and they're
Yeah.
right.
I was going to say that the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Carlisle shows with the swap meets, the most of the selling that I would do, as well as buying that I would do, would actually be like Wednesday night and Thursday.
Whoa.
It was
Wow.
all the vendors selling to each other, and then by the time the general public got in on Friday afternoon, that would be a busy time. Saturday, there were huge numbers of people there, but they all were walking around with their hands in their pockets, and buying things like t-shirts and posters and hats and stuff like that. They weren't actually buying the real stuff. That was all transacted a day or two before the show even opened.
The very, very early cuts down shows, you could come in early and get a lot of great stuff, and then they sort of clamp down on that.
All
Well,
right.
Castleton, they used to have people come in on Thursdays,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of vendors that was doing wheeling and dealing between themselves. This year is going to be a little different. They've done away with Thursdays altogether. There's nobody that's going to be able to get in there
Wow.
before I think 7 o'clock Friday morning, and it's going to be all day Friday and all day Saturday, and that's it. You're after that, it's done.
Hmm.
And what it was that the people that actually own the property and helped to run the event, their payroll and their insurance and everything was just going through the roof. So this was something that they didn't want to do, but they had to do it. And that was just a survival thing. And between the DVHRC and the people over Rangers who actually run the Cuts-Down event, they actually came to terms with all that, and now things are going to be okay. I never went on Thursdays anyway, but I know a lot of people who did. And some of the people that did it on Thursdays are not happy about, but that's, it's their sandbox. If
Yeah.
you're gonna play in their sandbox, you have to play by the rules. That's simple as that. So
Yeah.
What
I
about
think-
selling?
I think-
What about selling out of your car, Bob? Can you do that at Cuts-Down?
I suppose you can, just don't let the ranchers people see you do it. I'm sure there's people going to be doing it.
Well, you can
But-
walk around with an overcoat, go like that, Yeah.
So I'm actually looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's still going to be a good event. It's just just something they had to do, and it's just things change, so it's all right. It's not going away.
Oh, good, good. Well, looking forward to the video and so forth, but we'll have another announcement because our next meeting will be before Cuts-Down. But at any rate, so was there any other announcements beyond those two, Nearfest and Cuts-Down? And I guess that's about it. Okay. Well, then I guess it's about time for me to share my desktop here. Let's see here. Just gonna go to there we go. I hope you guys can you all see that?
Mm-hmm.
This is where we left off. I for sure remember because remember we left off at Howard's console. So
Is that a 16B? You recognize that, Greg?
No, what that is though, there's actually a phonograph in the top of that. I've seen one of those before. I don't know what the model number is, but the lid opens up and there's a phonograph in top.
Ah, okay.
whoop. There we go. But yeah, I don't know who brought that, but you can see it's in really fine condition.
Mm.
I mean, look at the cosmetics alone. Forget about what the electronics work, but cosmetically, it's in very nice shape.
It's even the original grill cloth.
Yeah, I know, and it really was nice. But I'd love to be able to haul that home, but
1937.
yeah, that's very nice. Um, and here's another Zenith. I don't know who brought that. I don't think that grill cloth that doesn't look
That's not the original grill.
Yeah, I didn't think it was original. But
That's either a 8S669 or a 10S669. I kind of hard to tell from the front. That's a 1941 console.
terrific shape. Even if it was redone, presumably at least the grill cloth was replaced, but even if it was refinished, it looks like it was a pretty nice job overall.
The wood's really
There's a
nice
lot
on
of-
that.
A lot of photo finish on there too, on the side pillars and the grill work. It's all fake wood grain photo finish.
Mm.
Oh, is that right? Ooh,
Yes.
that'd be a fair amount of work.
Yeah, it would be hard to replicate that if it got sanded off. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's there is some really nice console. There's a really curious, a very interesting one I'll show in a little bit. That's one I've never seen before. Okay, so here
Wow.
is an Outwater, I think, or no, it's a Westinghouse. Sorry, I take that back. an early Westinghouse. So this must be like, early 30s, late 20s, early 30s vintage. Pretty decent shape. You can see, so, it's a little bit worn, but it's more than, salvageable, restorable. It's not in bad shape at all overall. Looks all complete. That grill cloth looks about right to me. Kind of a neat radio. Not seen too often. We don't see Westinghouses of that size very often. You should just see the smaller radios. So that was kind of a nice treat. And then we go right up to modern stuff. We have a nice, Toshiba AM FM, receiver. That was pretty nice. So I got that right. Whoops, sorry about that. There was a guy selling a couple of these are Emud, spelled EMUD. Emud. This is a 196 Junior. And they're nice little radios. I had one once. In fact, in this same finish. They're terrific little radios because they're actually two speakers. So you have a main speaker and you have a little tweeter off to the upper. And what's so nice about it is when it's side lit, the dial face. So when it's on, all the lettering has this kind of greenish glow to it, sort of so it's actually rather attractive for a little bass, what I call a fairly bass radio. Nice little radio. And they had another one. Actually, they had a darker finish one as well. It's the same radio. But the one thing I liked about this, I'll just make a sort of a comment about just the effort the Germans did go into, is like it's a nicely scalloped, cabinet, inset and so forth. Just nicely done for a bass radio. I have tipped my hat for them, especially since Emud was not the big titans like the Telefunkens, Grundigs, Lova Opta, Nord Mendes style, the big giants. These guys were relatively small potatoes, but put a pretty little quality product out with their small radios. So I actually have to tip my hat.
Had to do that to find room for the white button.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But boy, they did a nice job of making it a nice, elegant, because they could have done the cheap way and done plastic, right? But because this is probably like 1959. So, so plastics were certainly available at that point, but they chose the wood, which I think was at least more elegant, more upscale from the typical fallback of plastic. So I thought they actually did a pretty good job there. Even nice, even the little trim rings around the knobs and all those little things, nice little touches for a pretty bass radio. Here we go. Zenith.
That looks like a chair side.
I
Yeah.
think it is. I think it
It's
is
standing
because
on its head.
exactly, because I was looking and saying, no, this doesn't look right because it is connected. It wouldn't be how you would actually put it in your house.
That's either a 5 or a 6 tube chair side. I had a 5 and a 6 tube chair side, and within the past year, I sold them both only because I had nowhere to put them. I'm running out of room in my house. So I decided to flip them, and I'm keeping my 12 tube shutter dial.
Yeah, the one you should.
Supposed to keep them next to your chairs.
That's true. It is. Would be wrong.
If you saw the amount of cat toys and cat stuff that's in this house, and not taking anything away from the cats would probably find a way to tear it up just to make me mad.
So they don't have a cat bedside radio. I take it.
Yes.
But this is I think that the seller just put it on its back just for for
Presentation.
size. Yeah, for size, try to squeeze as much out of the
If
tables.
you literally took that thing and flipped it over 90 degrees,
Yep.
there's pockets in the side where you could put magazines and books and things like that.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's not bad shape. I mean, obviously it's a bit of some cosmetics, but not serious.
It's not bad at all.
No. You could almost live with it as is if and fix it later, if the electronics, once you get to the electronics. But yeah, even the knobs look complete and original and pretty good shape.
Worse in my house right now.
There you go. Here's a nice Crosley.
Fuzzy fiber.
Yeah. I always like the dial face on these. Pretty radio. Yeah,
I actually have an 8 tube version of that, and it's a really, really good radio. And I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, close it. Can you get a close up on that, John?
yeah. Is that,
Right up. If you take a look at that dial on the broadcast section,
yep.
look at 710 on the
Yeah.
dial, and you see WLW. That was Powell Crosley's
Yep.
station in Cincinnati. And
Mhm.
obviously he wasn't shy, or else he wouldn't have put it on the radio. And my mine says the same thing on mine. It's pretty cool. That's got one shortwave band on it too. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a nice, it was nice. It's a very attractive piece for the size and all. What are they asking? Let's see if I can,
Get down to the tag.
let's see if I can.
Uh,
1934 asking $40 if I read this.
wow.
Good bones needs work dial, probably a dial cord, maybe
Dial lamp.
dial lamp. Oh, that's easy. So $40. That's
Yeah, it's worth
that's
every penny.
absolutely. That's a good deal.
That's
That's a pretty
that's
good,
an excellent deal for that.
especially the grill cloth looks pretty original to me. It looks like a really nice survivor, you know. Yeah, good deal.
Decent sized speaker in it too.
Yeah, this is not a radio I'd be embarrassed to purchase at all. In fact, quite the opposite. Ah, here's Zenith. I can't think of them all, but a pretty fairly common. You always see at least one of these at our shows.
I think they called that the World's Fair. It's at 39.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds right. Track the dial face. I always like the dial face on these. You know, the numbers, the way they still use the triangular zeros. That was kind of a neat take.
In the 1980s, I think it was, or early 90s, there was a reproduction version of that really came pretty close to looking like that. It had a cassette player in the side, of course.
Well, naturally, that's the only thing that doesn't work, right?
Right,
Yeah, I think that was a Crosley repop.
right.
Yeah, I think you're right. I seem to remember. What we have here.
Oh, is that a guild?
I think so. I'm thinking it is.
Yep.
Spice rack version or something.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think it's Spice Rack or something. Yeah, I see. That was adjacent to the Crosley. You can see it's still a Crosley tag. I don't see
yeah.
the tag on this. Um, but yeah, I think you are right.
On the wall next to your country bell.
Still see them every now and then.
Yeah,
What did you put your telephone on top of it or something?
You could.
no, no, sure.
Spices.
I think that's
Yeah.
the Spice Rack version, and then it's got those little, see where the blue painter's tape
Yeah.
is? Few
Mhm.
drawers
Those little
there.
drawers.
And then
Yeah.
I guess you could put your spices and stuff in there while you're listening to Bing Crosby croon.
That's right. Serenading, you could get you into your cooking, play a little big band to get you up and going. And
There
It
you
was
go.
a wall mount. Is that what happened? You
Yes.
just, yeah,
You could invariably mount on the wall if you wanted to.
yeah.
Some people just sat them on tables. I have a friend that's got a later version of that with an AM/FM radio, and it's really cool. It's tubes too. I helped him out with it.
yeah, it's pretty cool. A little reel to reel. That's
Mhm.
adjacent to that one. Let's see what we got. Ooh,
$10, huh?
I can't make out the script on the phone.
Ciphery? Is that Ciphery? Ciphery? It's not one I've seen very often. There we go. Ciphery. Here we go. It has a Y at the end though. Oh, Cipher V. I thought that was a
Oh, okay.
Cipher 5. There we go. Recorder. Motor works, may need work. $10. Such a deal. Look at that. It's a really terrific shape. And it looks like it probably has most of the accessories you need. He has the bag, the original case.
Where's the take up reel?
Yeah, look at that. What a deal. Yeah, like I said, until you actually look at the photos carefully, you realize, wow, I missed all these good deals. Oh, I know who vendor this was. He did have good deals. He was selling this Panasonic portable record player. I thought it was pretty cool because it had speakers that connect the whole thing. I thought it was actually pretty cool. It's like you can see it's like a suitcase. You see, it even has the style, the attaché case look. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool, And I claim it worked and all, and which I have no reason not to believe. In fact, there's even a battery set. But it is stereo. So yeah, stereo phono. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. A couple of speakers, and you got yourself portable entertainment. This is probably, I'm going to guess, probably late 60s, very early 70s would be a rough thing, but it was really
I
nice.
think that's the right window for that.
Yeah, I think so. And I bet you, I bet you decent more than that era Panasonic put some pretty good quality stuff for the price point. So I'm quite sure it was a terrific little piece and works fine. That was cool. I love the look of the attaché case and all. All right, now here is a clock rail,
That's
Philco.
a Philco.
Yep, put that next to your predicted television set.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
Exactly
I
right.
think they made those in 58, 59, right close to the predictors. So
Yeah, this is begs to be bought with it. It didn't see any predictors, by the way, at the show this time around. But yeah, that was pretty cool.
They don't travel well.
Yeah, that is true. Okay, we have a bunch of, solid state portables here. All righty here. Viscount, realistic, North American, something another back there.
I think the one with the handle, the leather handle sticking up all the way in the back, I think that's an Arvin.
That might be. I can't see the sticker well enough to probably discern if well.
I think that's the 7 or 8 transistor Arvin, pretty sure.
Lots to choose from.
See a couple GEs on the right.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, lots. And this sort of picks up to the left of that same display. You get some walkie-talkies, I think. Is that right? Yeah, these look like they're GEs. I think they're walkie-talkies. They look like it. Yeah. And more little transistor radios, and a whole bunch
That's a
of
pretty
things.
nice little selection of stuff.
Bunch of like $5 sets there. Lots of fives I see. So one could
Is
have
that
brought home a
is
bunch.
that is that two-tone square radio in the middle? That almost reminds me of like a bicycle accessory where
That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was thinking,
Okay.
Noah.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think you mounted that thing, and of course, all that weight going on. If the two radio, they sucks the life out of the batteries, and B adds a bit of weight. Your weight distribution is a little off on your bicycle. I guess you need a heavy duty mounting bracket or a basket to slap that baby on. It's pretty cool though. Hmm. Not sure what something sound. I was just looking at this one right here. Oh, it's Newsweek. That's interesting.
Newsweek.
Wow, Newsweek. Yeah, I guess so. It's one of those little promotional radios.
Promotional radio.
free
Those-
radio with subscription.
Yeah, because I had to look in. I said, "Boy, that script looks familiar," and sure enough,
Looks
Newsweek
like
it
there's a
too.
nice like avocado green 8-track player or something, or radio way at the top in the back.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't know if I can. Don't know what that is, but because I've lost resolution at this point. But yeah, some cool stuff to be had here.
Oh
Some
wow,
stuff.
see that right there? Yeah, right in the middle of your screen, right where you're putting that.
Yeah. I'm not sure what that is. Does that have a case and so forth?
It's one of these.
Oh, look at that. Now, what is that, Noah?
It's a traveling AM/FM radio and alarm clock.
Nice. Oh, okay. Yep, it's got the case, so you got it. Yeah, they have a couple of those, so you can see one right behind each other. Yeah, some good
It's so
stuff.
funny. It's like, oh yeah, I've got one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, some good stuff. Oh, here's a Singer. Oh, I think like I say, never knew that Singer made a radio. Yeah, they make sewing machines, but who would have thought? I said, well, that's worth it. And look at even the Singer, badge
Wow.
on the handle. I mean, it's like, okay, that's really interesting. Not something
Nine
you see very often.
transistor too.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a Singer projector, so
Okay.
they've made some other things
Well,
than sewing machines, you know?
well, I know that we're into I think Singer was involved with aircraft simulators and things like that
Hmm.
because I remember my first job at Raytheon, a friend of mine I was working with was going back to Pennsylvania where his family was, and he was getting a job at Singer. And I said, interesting. And he was like, I think it was like aircraft simulators or so it was something supporting the aircraft industry. And he was sort of near the town he lived in. But I
Mm.
hadn't realized they made radios, and I said, "Well, this is worthy of a shot because you just don't see these very often." I'm sure somebody else made it for. Well, actually, I can't really say that for sure. I wonder if somebody else made the guts for it, or did it really do all the work? Did they make it themselves? But actually, a rather attractive late '60s, I would say, radio. Mid to late
I think that
'60s.
had to be within probably the Japanese market or something, because if you look, they actually, it's hard to see in the picture, but underneath of the numbers for the broadcast band, it's also in meters. And
Yes.
I
Yep.
know they do that in Japan.
That may be the tip there, Bob. Yeah.
When
Good
I was
point.
in Japan in 1991, any of the AM stations I listened to, they would never tell you the kilocycle frequency was in meters. At
Okay.
least the English speaking ones that I could pick up.
Sure.
Doesn't it seem a little bit odd that they say broadcast band, where everything we have is just broadcast as one word?
Right.
Hmm.
Well, that might have been a little bit of artistic license
Yeah,
or translational issue.
Listen,
yeah.
I worked for a Japanese machine tool company for 12 years, Rob. And all you had to do was open up one of the machine manuals, and after about the first 10 seconds, you'd be lost.
Because the translation wasn't
Well, you'd find like run-on sentences and things grammatically
yeah,
incorrect. And
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I've had customers call me up, hey, I've got this machine. Go to the page 108, and it says in this paragraph, and then I'd have to really give them what it meant,
Right.
or her what it meant. It just,
Maybe.
When I was working at Zenith, we used to call it Chinglish.
yes.
Right. Sure. But yeah, it's a neat radio. Not something you see all that often.
No, that's as rare as hen's teeth right there. Not valuable, but rare.
Right. And it's actually in pretty nice shape. One could clean it up a bit and be fairly happy with the condition as it is. So it wasn't bad, but I thought it was worth sharing. There we go. There's a couple. Here's a nice Arvin. That's a newer one with the
Well,
like
that
the little
Arvin really
scroll.
stands out, doesn't it?
Yeah, look at the little
Like
thumb
kind of in
wheel
your
style.
face.
Yeah, Arvin in your
That's a
face.
Philco underneath of
Yeah,
it.
that's kind of unusual too, and not something that I've seen before, frankly. And I thought, okay.
That
So,
is,
and it's AM FM
I
as
think
far as
that's
I can tell.
AM/FM.
That's why kind of was interesting is has separate controls. I thought, okay, there's the bands
no, that's
no,
all.
that's not off the band selectors here then. Yeah, and I thought it was
Yeah,
kind
the
of
FM's on the left.
unusual, you know, but kind of cool.
Yes. You got a Sentinel and a Westinghouse on the right.
Yeah, exactly. So there was a lot of good stuff at this show. Speaking of the Sentinel,
There it is.
Mm.
yeah, pretty nice shape. I let a little chip in the paint, but that's not serious. Some chips a little bit on the side here too, but generally nice shape. See if yeah, there's the Westinghouse. It's kind of cool.
Well, that must be the Mr. Magoo special edition, so you can see the numbers.
Yeah,
Like the numbers on the knob real big.
yeah, yeah.
That's not as bad as that clock that was just shooting.
But it looks like
Those
it
numbers.
has.
Oh, that's when you have
Yeah.
to check your glasses to see if you got to get stronger glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can tell this has a few problems. So this, looks suspiciously out, and also you can
Yeah.
see a crack in the case there. So it's probably needs some love, but maybe could be had for cheap. Silver
That's
tone.
a GE on the bottom.
Yep. There's some
That's
pretty.
silver tone on top.
There's actually some pretty cool clock radios this time around. You know,
Yeah.
got that like you said, the GE, and this is they say a 51, I think, from the. I see say what they're asking because it's obscured, but is 51 silver tone. So it's actually pretty nifty looking, overall. And of course, made far superior with its Telecron clock piece. Okay, here's some. I'm not sure what this is. Old microphone or speaker. It's like a
Might be an
box.
automotive thing there. You see how you got like the head unit where the tuning dial is, and then there's
Yeah.
cables.
Yes. I
So that
think
was the
by
part that
George,
was
you
up.
got it.
That was up by the dashboard, and then the speaker amplifier thing was buried somewhere else. Or
I think though, and I can't speak to this because whether this looks like it's part of it,
yeah, I
maybe.
think so.
So it looks like the whole thing is $10. You could take home this ancient car radio thing.
Yeah, but then you'd have to go, buy an old car to put it in.
Yeah, kind of look a little bit out of sync in today's cars. Cool though.
Ah,
Okay.
Yeah. Now this is what does that say?
Fine art.
Fine,
Fine Arts
Hmm.
Radio.
fine hours?
Fine
Fine
Arts
Arts.
Radio.
Sorry?
Plaza Music Company, New York. Fine Arts Radio.
Yeah. Why fine arts? Oh, I see. That's supposed to be a T. I go with that. Fine
Yeah.
arts. It is a fine looking piece. $50, I guess, being
It
a
is a
fair
nice
wear.
looking piece.
It only picks up opera on NPR.
Yeah. And notice it has a Lincoln Center mark for catching your operas. But yeah, that's pretty neat. Again, something I've never seen. I like the elegant looking, details on the veneer, the vernier scale. I mean, actually very, very cool. There we go.
Fisher.
The
Ah,
Fisher.
nice Fisher tuner.
Yeah,
Headlamp.
FM, and
Yeah,
that is $100.
downside of that is it's mono, but
Yeah, but it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, no, it's way cool.
No, but if you had one of these in 1955, you were styling.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
No
Oh, big
question.
time.
Oh yeah. No question.
We actually have that tuner in our museum with a
Oh,
hi-fi
Oh,
setup.
it's all right.
Yeah, we have that plugged into a, I think it's a Williamson Heathkit amp, hi-fi amp. Sounds pretty good.
Oh, cool. Pioneer and Marantz. A couple of $40 each, it looks like is what they were asking. Typical ladies gear. There we go. Now this was a show special for $40,
That looks like an Akai, but I might be wrong.
It says Legato Linear. No, no, who makes a Legato? Oh, wait, the Sony.
Got Sony on it. Yeah.
Yeah, no
Oh, okay.
baloney.
I didn't see that.
Baloney.
Sony, no baloney. Hey, remember those remember those 70s ads, especially for like the Sony Trinitron? I remember those like a kid because my dad bought it was from it was I think 1973, he bought a Sony Trinitron. And it was 17 inch, which was that was actually class of the field. It was 17 inches, which to us seemed like an enormous screen considering we were working on a 15-inch Philco, black and white as predecessor. So we thought that was cool.
When I was in Japan in the early 90s, John, I'm walking around with an 8mm Sony Handycam.
Yep.
And if I had gotten a nickel for every time a person would walk up to me and they knew I was a foreigner, they would walk right up to me and go, It's a Sony. Always say,
Yeah.
oh, it's a Sony.
Did you say no baloney to them?
No,
Ah,
I try to be respectful. It was just unbelievable. No matter where I went, I mean, whether it was in Tokyo or I was probably about 120 miles northwest of Tokyo in the Gano Prefecture where they had the Olympics some years ago, Winter Olympics, and that was just where I was staying.
okay.
Sony everywhere, no matter where you went. I had a Sony Walkman with me too.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, back at that time, that 70s and 80s, especially, Sony and Panasonic were really making their mark on the U.S. consumer.
Oh, absolutely. I know two people that are big Sony collectors.
Hmm.
I mean, they just collect a lot of radios and stereo equipment and that kind of thing. And I'm not like that. I just but it's kind of cool to see a lot
Yeah.
of that old stuff again.
Yeah, some of it's fun. I mean, a lot of the consumer level stuff was, it was, not going to win any sound awards, but they're pretty cool and they're certainly reliable. I've shown the picture before, but I have a um, a Panasonic hi-fi, just a nice little receiver, but it has a cool dial face. It works well, for
And they made good
so
stuff.
I mean, it was made in 71, 73. Strike that, 73. So, it's over 50 years old and it works terrifically. It's
Well,
in
and then,
good
you know,
shape.
Well, for many
the
years,
other
their domestic stuff was Matsushita.
Yeah.
And then when they started to do the export, they went to Panasonic, and then Panasonic caught on so much that they just dropped it. They just said Panasonic division and Matsushita Heavy Industries, and that's
Right.
how they went by in Japan.
Well, when my mom was working at Columbia Records, and then that got bought out by CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System, it became CBS Records, and then Sony bought it out, and then became Sony Music. But that all happened, while she was working there. So yeah, I have I have a Sony Walkman with a cassette in it, and I have a Sony
Mm.
Discman with the CD in it, and I have a Sony Watchman, which is the television.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because
I had one of
she
those.
had, she was able to get that stuff, I don't know, practically free, working there.
Yeah, I kind of regret getting rid of not that I use it much, but I kind of regret getting rid of my Watchman. It was in really terrific shape and it was built really well. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it was just like the quality, it was really good quality. Yeah, it was black and white, but fine.
Yeah,
Who cared? Nice job. They really did. I tip my hat.
you can use it as a tricorder.
Oh, exactly. Just about. All you need is to make the sound and, you know, right. I have to get a salt shaker that, has spins like little colors. Well, it must be no, it's just different set of got a Technics and a Philips. You know, got to, we always have some of the 80s gear invariably shows up. Oh, a nice reel to reel. Speaking of Sony,
It's a Sony.
Mhm.
it's enough. Ah, because
Mm.
we not enough Sony, here's another one. Your
Look
typical
at that.
with mega passport.
Mega baseport. Boom, 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 boom.
Exactly. I get it now with this, but hey, you know what?
And look, I mean, it's got the CD player and the cassette player and
Yeah,
AM
you get it all.
FM radio. I mean, it's got everything.
Yeah. No, it's pretty cool. That's definitely 90s
I always say late
material.
90s, early
Yeah.
2000s, and it was
Yeah.
probably a large pile of money to get that.
Yeah, I'm not even sure how much they were asking, because I think the tag is flipped. So, but
I had one of those. It was definitely 90s and it probably wasn't a ton of money. It was, I don't know, probably $60 or something.
Oh, that's all? That's
Yeah,
not bad.
I mean, a little CD player and a tape player combo with
And they had it
radio.
down by then. They could crank those things out.
yeah.
And then, in volume as well. I mean, I'm sure that they sold a gazillion of them.
Well, it's a sort of a rough approximate for boom boxes. I have my original Panasonic FX4. It's a sort of low profile, wider, um, uh, portable boombox just with a cassette deck, no CD. And that has ambiance, has these little buttons. So it's just basically, sort of like a poor man's equalizer. you know, to emphasize certain sounds, but it sounded terrific. It had this mode called ambiance, which is sort of called it exaggerated stereo. So I bought it in 1984, Christmas 84. I remember it like yesterday, and I spent $100 for it. It was on sale in um sort of it was Hess department store, which is sort of I think ultimately Macy's. So it became absorbed into Filene, so it became Macy's. So that's how its lineage is. But I needed I wanted something better in my dorm than the mono thing I had, which I regret getting rid of because that was a Panasonic big mono speaker. It was terrific, had excellent reception. Why I got rid of it is beyond me. That was kind of foolish. But at any rate, that was before I was into vintage electronics.
Because it wasn't stereo.
It wasn't, but boy, I'll tell you, for a mono, you know, single speaker, it wasn't bad. And it was terrific in reception. I mean, it was, and also typical great quality Panasonic. This is from the late 70s, you know, so it was black plastic, but it was that nice quality. All the switch gear was nice quality, springing and so forth. It was just like, you know, you just had to say, geez, why didn't I appreciate that more? You know, I should have kept it, but oh well, woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? Um, let's see here. So we got a realistic multiband. Man,
I can't make that out if that's a DX 150 or a 160, but
that's I think a 160.
that's a 160.
There we go.
That was a popular Radio Shack. I mean, that's got the matching speaker on top of there.
Yeah. Yeah, see it right up there?
The paper there.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard to find them with the matching speaker anymore. They're usually parted out.
Yeah. It's in nice shape. It looked like it has the manuals too, if memory serves. You can
It's
see
a
the paper.
decent shortwave receiver. It's okay.
Well, yeah, I'd say, you know what, why not? You know, I don't know what they're asking, however, but whoops, sorry, we lost Russ. But close this. Um a Sanyo boombox, just cassette.
Daniel,
55 bucks. I mean, that's not unreasonable. That's, I guess, rare according to this. 84
that's got shortwave on it.
Yeah, that's what's interesting about it is multiband. So probably a terrific little radio. I mean, it's probably
got
worth.
woofers and tweeters.
So you could just
Yeah.
like, walk around the neighborhood listening to Brothers Stare, and your Sanyo boombox.
And brothers abroad. But it's pretty cool. I mean, I don't think it's completely unreasonable for that, especially if it works. Let's see, what do they say in the details there? Let's take a look. AM, FM, shortwave bands, paperwork. Oh, cassette player paperwork. Okay, so it's complete. I mean, you know what? That's reasonable, especially if the cassette deck works. That's a big win already. Cool. Halicrafters with speaker.
Mm.
Wow.
Pretty nice. In nice condition too. Very nice condition. And paperwork. I have no idea what it was cost, but it's in very nice condition.
What year is that?
I can't make out the model number
50s,
on it.
60s?
I would say 60s is where I would throw it. Early to mid 60s would be a guess. But admittedly, I'm not a Halicrafters expert. But cool.
Interesting.
That's a ham band only receiver.
Yep, I see. Yep.
Mm.
But very nice, very attractive.
It's in good shape.
Yeah. I thought who was selling that. Zenith. Very little basic Zenith here. And
if my memory serves me correctly, I didn't have one of these, but I knew someone that did. I think that they made two flavors of that radio. There was the AM alone, and then there was an AM FM version, but they both had tuned RF on AM, and these were little DX machines.
oh, okay.
I think
Interesting.
it's late 60s.
That seems
When they
about
made 'em.
right. That looks about right.
High performance.
It does say that. Maybe they're really taking, and then maybe they're putting money where their mouth is there. Radiocraft magazines, old bunch,
Mm,
and something ye old behind there. That might be an
mhm,
Atwater
That's
Kent.
an AK. I
Yes,
just
I
can't,
thought.
mm.
Yeah, because I can see
don't know
that.
which one.
I see the badge, but I can't tell the model. But it's probably its speaker with it too.
Yeah, nice speaker.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, a
There
close
we
up.
go.
Look at that. I forget when I took photos of it. I take so many of them. Yep. But we still can't get a model number, but it's in pretty darn nice.
Yeah, 47. It's on the green tag.
Oh, thank you. Good catch there. Yep.
There we go. Yep, I can see it now.
Yep. Yeah. No, good
It's
catch.
nice when you have a Mac and you can zoom in like that real quick.
I have to admit, once I've switched over to Mac, it's been I'm not going back to my Windows PC anytime soon.
I'm on my second MacBook Pro now. I have my original MacBook Pro I keep in my shop. That's got an i5, and I just use that for schematics and
Yep.
looking up stuff on the internet if I need technical information and things like that.
Yeah, I mean they withstand the test of time. My Windows machine was starting to slow down pretty after 4 or 5 years. It was slowing down pretty fast.
I
So
still have a PC that's running Windows 10 and it's holding up pretty
yeah,
good. But
yeah,
my wife is a graphic artist by career, and she was the one that turned me on to Mac, and I haven't really gone back since.
yep. Well, I used my wife's. She got the first iPad, and then and she has an iPad Pro. It's a Gen 1, so we bought it like 2017. It still works pretty darn well. We'll probably think about replacing next year or two, but it works great. It's still not that slow, but I have an iPad Air, which I bought in 22, and that's really I love it. Just quick for going through emails, quick look on things. It's super fast. And then I have the Mac Air I bought last year. I finally said my PC was giving up and I need something to be able to like run the Zoom meetings, do stuff for the club, like do the website. And I said, okay, it's time to actually, not go cheap, get actually a decent piece. But no complaints. Okay. Here is, I believe, and is that a Zenith? Yeah,
That's
it
a
is. Yeah.
6S
Mm-hmm.
No,
six
that's not the
S
right look.
six something. I forget the rest of the numbers on that. That's a 1942
Hmm.
Zenith.
Gee, and something. Oh, that's a record player. That's what that is. I might have a better picture of that shortly. Yep, I knew it.
Mm-hmm.
Phono needles. It's got phono needles. It's silver tone, right? Yeah. And it's UL listed in case you were worried. That's kind of cool.
It's because of the electric motor. There's electric motor for the turntable, but if I'm not mistaken, that's totally acoustic for the tone arm and pickup. It's just got basically the nails that you mount, and then
Yep.
the diaphragm, and then the horn that goes down into the cabinet, and then it just comes out of that little speaker grill thing there, that little rectangular
Yep.
thing. It's not really a speaker, it's just where the sound comes out.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, probably good kid's toy or something, kid's thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that from the pictures, you can tell it's got to be a kid's thing. It's got a little cartoon diagrams. Certainly meant to be for a kid. Okay, we're talking some serious money here.
Mm.
I've restored, evidently. Um,
Another Philco 90.
yeah, I think so.
I think that one might be a 70 because 90
Lot of
had
money
that
for a
cutout
70.
on the base.
Nice he
Oh,
restored.
that's right. You're right, Greg.
Yeah.
Good catch, man.
Well, the reason I know I had one of each. I still have the 90, but I got rid of the 70.
Yeah, I've got a 92, and I've had it for probably 12 years, and I still haven't fixed it yet.
Hmm.
I ran on a Variac and it's humming, so it's just a matter of changing those two 10 microfarad caps. I just haven't gotten to it yet because I got a bunch of other broken stuff to try to get done.
Indeed.
It's like
Indeed.
a Philco 70 with a Philco 90 price tag on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Right.
A
I don't,
big number.
yeah, I don't see the decimal point in beyond the last zero, I'm afraid. A
Oh,
national,
SW54.
got it.
That's a cool little radio. Just make sure that if you buy one, I mean, you want to make it functional, put a fuse in it just in case the transformer decides to melt while it's playing.
Uh,
These
from
things had
experience,
really awful transformers in them.
I see.
But it's not a bad little radio. Just have to, make sure that transformer doesn't overheat. They put cheap transformers in them.
Good to know. That's interesting. It's just a lots of games. This is the computer game table. This I took these photos before they released the hounds, so vendors are still setting up.
Yeah, I
That's-
see the Nintendo orange gun on the corner of the table.
yeah, exactly.
Remember the old Nintendos where you play Duck Hunt?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was the Duck Hunt gun.
yeah.
First, I
Oh.
thought that was Noah's soldering iron there.
Yeah.
That's the high wattage version. with
Well,
orange on
you
it.
can solder and dock hunt with his.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Okay, a projector.
Oh.
That's kind of interesting. 16 millimeter needs restoration, has case. $40, best offer. Well, if you're into those kind of things, it's be kind of neat to have.
A lot of times it's the 8 or the Super 8, but not a 16.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big pieces.
Bet you that weighs a ton too.
Oh yeah, yep,
Makes nice noises and
yeah, exactly. I love the sound, the mechanical sound of a
and a little
projector.
smell of ozone coming
Yeah.
out. Of the
Mhm.
motor.
And just think, your grandfather was watching dirty movies in the garage with this thing a long
Yeah,
time
right,
ago.
exactly.
Maybe included some dirty movies.
Yeah, you never
to
know.
take home. You never know what they forgot to take get rid of.
That carry bag, that blue bag there.
What's that?
They're in that blue carry.
There we go.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. That's funny. Here's another.
Well, there's a national
cell.
with a much better transformer in it.
This I think was. I think this is.
I forget the model number of that. Oh, 140. That's right. 125. That's about the going rate for that, I think.
Yeah, it's a really nice shape.
It's clean.
I think this was Bill Chenette's table. I'm pretty sure that was his. He was trying to sell. I don't know if he ended up selling it, but it's in really nice shape with the speaker.
Mm-hmm.
So it was in really nice shape. There's a better photo of it on the front. Nice piece.
Mm-hmm.
Marche Victor.
Ah, yes.
These bullhorn. $15.
Yeah, it's a 5-tube radio, but it's got the proverbial phono input in the back, which makes it real easy to you wanted to Bluetooth it or whatever. But this was just kind of a ancillary piece that usually made it up to those 45 EY2 RCA players that used to players and changers connect up to that and let it whip and you can listen to your 45s on the radio too.
Yeah. I got three of those babies in my garage waiting to be brought to the club for silent auctioning. One's in really good shape, needs an electronic restoration. Then second one is not quite as nice cosmetically, but still in good shape. And then there's one that it's got some cracks. I showed those about a month or so ago of what I brought home, but they're I like them in that in the darker finish, admittedly, but that's just a personal preference. There we go. What do we got here? Kennedy equipment.
It's a Kennedy. Yeah,
It's a
okay.
Kennedy.
Wow. That's kind of rare.
I'm sure they said, ask not what you can do for your radio, but what your radio can do for you. Or is it vice versa? Ask what your
I'm sure Tom's seen a couple of them in his passes, going to Hamfest and things.
pretty cool. It's,
Yeah,
it's a nice,
they're rare, all right.
it's pretty cool.
Is there a price on it?
I don't, pardon me. I don't remember seeing one, but I might have caught it in the camera. Pardon me. Emerson,
Hmm.
$35, not too bad.
Yeah.
Looks all complete. You know, not serious, you know, minor cosmetics, but pretty reasonable. TV, GE is this, or is this yeah,
Yes,
as I thought. Zenith.
a Z-Knife.
Exactly. It's 75
Maybe.
bucks. That one's a little, maybe a little ambitious with 75 bucks, but interesting nevertheless. A Victrola, two-speed,
Hmm.
two-speed power glide. Yeah, RCA Victor. It's actually a nice shape, and it looks. I mean, I like the fact that it's got his little pamphlets and all. It's in
Yeah,
pretty.
with spindle. You got the
Yeah,
45 spindle there on the side.
yeah. I mean, this is screaming 50s. I mean, you know, charcoal and pink was a popular 50s color combination on cars. You know, no less on Victrolas.
Yeah, they made 45 players with that same color combination. I'm just curious because a lot of these things used like one tube amplifiers. You just had like a 50B5 or a 50C5, and then just you had to just pray that the cartridge had enough output that'll actually give the thing volume.
Right, right. It's a really terrific shape. I mean, it
I
really,
don't think I've ever seen one of these before.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a
I wonder what
really,
RCA's upcharge on this was versus the 45.
hmm, good point.
I'm gonna have to do a little research on this now. I'm
Right.
curious.
Plays 15 fabulous 45 records and one 33 and a half LP automatically. It's pretty cool.
Automatically a 33 and a 45.
And or I think it's an
Wow. Oh,
uh
or
or yeah. I was gonna say that's really cool for the big
boy,
thing. But they said, you know,
there's a small man underneath of it that just senses it, and he's
yeah, that's right, gets up, lifts it.
a Martian under there.
But look, I mean, it's cosmetically and terrific
That's
condition.
screaming 50s though. Those two
Oh yeah.
colors.
Oh
I can
gosh,
just
yes.
picture like a mid 50s Chevy with those two colors on, or a
55 Chevy had that exact
the
color
Dodge.
combo.
Some of the Dodges in the mid 50s had three
Exactly.
colors on them.
Yeah,
Yep.
tritones. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Oh, I like it. Really like it. Cool. Another TV.
Pilot.
That little TV. I'm not sure who made
Teeny
this.
weeny screen.
Pilot.
Pilot. Oh, thank you.
Postage stamp TV.
Sorry about the dark photos. It was pretty dark because the lights were not fully on when vendors were setting up. Even with a flash, it was kind of, especially if dark equipment, it was pretty um kind of dark. But
You should
this,
have turned it on. Made
I
those tubes light up.
there you go. That would be very cool.
I wonder what the number was on that breadboard. You know, these things were going for over $1,000
Back in the, this is a really nice shape
back in the
too.
day. Now I'm seeing them go for 700-800.
Yeah, and I don't
They're in
they,
that condition.
and I don't think they're going anywhere further but south in that regard as time marches on. It was kind of
All
interesting,
right.
you know, I think this is a crystal radio.
It's a spark gap.
Spark
There was a
gap.
Oh,
spark gap
Spark. Oh, okay, thank you.
feel.
Zzz.
Ah, you're right. You're right. Now I see it. I see it. Yep. 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 The wires. That's what we got here. Western Electric.
Hmm.
Wow.
Ye old early. Lots of patents, just in case you didn't need to know. Ah, a Telefunken. This would be a 5650, I think. I think
Depends
Paul
on,
Lavoie was selling this, so it means it's been restored.
is that
I
a solid state one or is that a
semi. It's I believe it was a hybrid.
Mm,
That was the last year I think Tube showed up in a Telefunken before they cut completely over the solid state. So this is their sort of their Frankenstein, but it was actually a good system. So that sounds a bit harsh when it really isn't.
yeah, no, I've got one of the ones that's all tube, has 6BQ5 outputs.
Yeah, that would be
Four of them.
I read it was the 55 or the 54,
I
50.
can't even remember.
But the nice thing is these had, the nice little cover, the T
Yes,
cover that went over
the
and
T
flipped
pull
over.
out and fold down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nice system. And I think this was Paul's. I think he was asking a reasonable like $180, which if it's fully restored, you throw a couple of speakers on it and you're golden. It's a stereo and it's gonna crank. You're not gonna walk out feeling embarrassed you own it, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think that's very reasonable, John.
Yeah, that was my feel. It's just that I seriously thought about it, but I was like, okay, there are probably other pieces I'd rather have, but it'd be tempting. But I bought from Paul instead, a pair of Telefunken speakers, which would match very nicely with this. But I have them connected to my 1 year later fully solid state operette um, uh, receiver. So can't have everything, but I think it's a very fair price because Paul is selling off whatever he's got left. He's pretty much exiting he said it's too many projects and he does all this restoration. He's one that's done those terrific jobs on those like some of the Philco radios, which will show up again because I think he had one there. Does terrific work both cosmetically and electrically. Yeah, here's one of his Philcos.
Mm.
You know, just this one is a Philco 39, right? So he's done the work. 175, he's done the cosmetics and the electronics. So if you're looking for, a turnkey, nice Philco of that era, you really can't get wrong with this. Really nice system. Yeah, yeah. And he had a couple of. He also has some of the solid, like the
Mm.
solid state multi-band Telefunken. It's like this Bajazzo. I have this is a sort of a base model of the TS. Um, I have a somewhat the next level up one, and they're just terrific radios. With sensitivity and sound are really good for their size. Really impressive stuff. Plus, they had the sleeve. You can, but back in those days, even the 60s, a lot of German cars didn't have a radio came from the factory, so you could get a sleeve. You could wire it into your, directly into your car, and have just a sleeve it would slide into, and you'd have the speaker pointing down. You'd have a speaker and power to the car, and it was really. In fact, there should be a button. Yeah, there was a little button that had a car icon that you'd use one to push release it, and one I think it converts a car, and I forgot what it did, but. Yeah, here's the Bajaj. This is what I have.
Yeah, all the way to the left.
Yeah. You see that you see the little car icon and mine's a US spec. I think it has the FM instead of the UKW, which is the German but terrific radio, great sound, um, excellent sensitivity and reception. Really nice little radio. Made around 68, 67, 68, that time frame. This is kind of neat. This is sort of like a toy project, AM FM tuner. You could sort of I guess it was maybe a kit you build yourself. I thought that was kind of battery operated. It was kind of cool. I hadn't seen one of those before. Ah, bunch of little you can
Mm.
name that transistor radio. You got a Valiant. You got I know I see Zenith up at the top there. A whole
I think the one's a real tone.
Sony.
Well, there's a
That little
Sony.
one right there. And this little, can I see some of these? There's another Sony. You got quite the range here. Some neat stuff. Ah, here's a Philco 41. $60 works. That's some pretty nice shape too. Overall. And just needs a little cleaning, I'd say, around the plastic area, but it looks to be in pretty good shape. And does this say, no, what makes
It's
this?
a Philco.
Oh, is it Philco? Okay.
Yeah, it's a Philco.
Okay, thanks. I just didn't see the decal, so I was looking for
It's a little bit tarnished on the lower left.
Thank you. Now I see it.
I don't remember the model number though off the top of my head. The 37 something, I think. 37
Nah,
or 38 something.
Eight something.
Other
They actually $75 for it. Air Master. This is kind of cool. And pretty decent shape too, overall. That's something you see
battery portable.
that's something you see very often. Plus, it's an Air
Big
Master.
batteries.
Yeah, it's just pretty cool.
Battery portables, I just have this affection for. I don't know what it is. I just think they're really cool.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Some of these are probably unremarkable, but they really look cool.
You
Just
could
with
find them for dirt cheap. I mean, not a lot of people like them because most of them are 4-tuber, so
right.
they're limited as far as reception. But the portability and
But
stuff
don't
like
they,
that in the
don't, I
30s,
mean,
40s.
don't these have like you have to have the A battery and the B battery and
Well, they used to make battery eliminators. I actually did a restoration a couple years ago on a Philco farm radio, and it came with a battery eliminator. And I had to literally redo the battery eliminator too, just to have the thing work. I mean, the woman handed me the radio in 3 boxes, and then I had to like play jigsaw puzzle, and there was like 3 pieces missing. I had to find. So that was an interesting. I pulled it off. It wasn't hard to do. It just was a lot of work.
Hmm.
battery eliminator weighs as much as the radio.
The one I did was heavier.
GE model 60, $50 works.
Hmm.
Not bad. Pretty nice shape, a little Novus, and you're probably off, pretty good looking radio cosmetically,
Yep.
you know. RCA, as is. Actually, it's in pretty interesting shape. $30. I mean, I don't know what the inside looks like, but it's actually cosmetically not bad shape. And kind of cool that it's sort of like this metal box. You want something really old.
Mm.
Here's an Emerson.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah. And so you start $50. That's not unreasonable. In pretty nice shape. Not really unreasonable. Simpson. Oh, I think this is John Cummer's table because he had this monster Simpson, and he did manage to sell it, but he was like, "Oh my God, the weight on this
Oh,
thing."
that's a signal generator.
Yeah, but look at this thing. But I love look at the needles, and I just love the look. It's these dual gauge, all these.
John lives down in Long Island, and he
Yeah,
managed to find some of the neatest stuff out there.
yeah,
It
That's a
never
lot of
ceases to
chicken
amaze
heads
me what
going
he
on right
finds.
there.
yeah. It's really this one I know he sold because it was a heavy piece. Yeah, TV FM signal generator. That's a
On
Lafayette.
HE10.
Yeah, Lafayette.
Yeah, it was made by Kenwood
Oh,
actually.
actually, I think Russ came home with this. That's the one he was
Was
talking.
that the one Russ bought?
I think so. I
Okay.
can't swear to it, but I
Oh
think
yeah, I
so.
bet you're right because he said he
Yeah.
was one of the trim
See?
rings that
Yeah.
he
See
said
this
he
one?
machined a trim ring
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah. Yeah. This is, I'm pretty sure this is Russ's purchase.
That's a great little radio.
Yeah. It's unusual.
There's
Yeah.
I think it's an 8 tube radio in there, and all the tubes have. It's really cool the way it's done. Japanese think of everything, but they actually have hold downs. They're miniature tubes, but
Yeah.
the hold downs that kind of keep the tube nestled in place, which I think is cool.
I've always had a warm spot for Lafayette.
Oh, there's
There's
an
an RCA.
RCA
Yeah.
45, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
There's some Edison diamond discs on the
I
right there.
sold one
Yeah.
just like that in Brookline one year, or not Brookline, in whatever it was before Castleton.
That's
Oh.
a 45 EY3, I think.
Yep, with an amplifier.
One of
Yes.
those. Maybe it was yours
It could
there,
have been.
Noah.
Could have been.
Some of these things have a way of coming back.
Mhm.
I think they made more than two though.
Nah, it's true, but you never know in our club. Believe me. I know I've seen one of the radios I sold off find its way off in some other seller's table. It's just the way it is. If you get bored with it, whatever. There's a Westinghouse TV. KLH 21. Decent
Ah,
condition.
I've got like three of those.
Oh, well, see,
They're nice little radios,
they
right?
are. They are. They're well liked. Well liked. And if they work, they're even more liked. But yeah,
Hmm.
their sensitivity and their sound, what they were known for being a nice quality for the size, a really nice little piece.
Well, I think because also Cambridge, Mass, there were a lot of them in the area. My dad
Yeah.
picked up a ton. My brother's using one in his kitchen right now. My dad has one in the basement that I actually use when I'm down there going through his stuff. And then I've got one that's in storage. So there's at least there's at least three of them in my house. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. It'll sound good either in just regular
Yeah, I think I'm
music
gonna bring
or
one home. That's gonna be a keeper for me.
yeah. If Fidelity is pretty decent, and if you're not happy with the Fidelity, throw on WBUR or GBH.
Yeah.
This is like, oh yeah, this JVC was pretty neat little system. Looks like late 80s, mid to late 80s would be my guess, maybe early 90s. It has a wood case, which makes me
I
think it
see the
might be full.
logo that says Ford Channel.
Yeah, this may be a quasi
But this might be earlier than 80s.
yeah, because the wood cabinet also, that's a good point, Bob. This may actually be sitting in the 70s. Because especially the wood cabinet, because a lot of these things switched over pretty quickly to all plastic by late 70s, 80s. Um, that was actually a neat system with the speakers. There was a guy selling this stuff. I thought quite attractive. And to your point, this may be one of these quasi quadraphonic, four channel.
It may be what they used to call derived Ford Channel, not the real deal,
Yeah, not the true quadraphonic.
right.
Be system one and then system one plus two, which is kind of interesting. Everyone's got their own little way of labeling these things, but kind of
That's in decent shape.
yeah, it is. I mean, very minor scratches on the cabinet, nothing too bad, and you've got sort of a equalizer here. Uh,
Yes.
so it's actually a pretty nifty little system. Up, some people lining up before they release the hounds. See them lining up. Yep. The gates open and the people are storming in.
Mhm.
You hear that the trample of the hoofs. Oh, this was really interesting. This I believe is made in Britain. It's um
On the
I've never
turntable it says Monarch. I don't know if that's the brand.
yeah, yeah, it's
Hmm.
it's I can't think of the name of this now. Oh, that's a Re, Regenton. Is
Oh,
the name. It's from the UK. It only runs on 220. Um, it's
Mrs.
a,
Peel would be listening to music on
yes, indeed. But look, it's just in terrific condition. I
it.
really was smitten by it in its own, unique way. You know what I mean? I have more pictures, so fear not. Here we go. Here's a close-up of the receiver. The
Mm.
region tone. I just forgot the
Hmm.
E. There we go. Region tone. Um, it's got FM, which is kind of nice. So and it does limit to the European 100 megahertz upper limit, but um, even has, a tuning eye there, so it's really pretty cool, just pretty darn cool. It's like, wow, you know, I've never seen one, and even has the documentation. You can see the user docs right below in the cupboard here, and the cubby hole.
Mm.
So it has all the goodies, I mean, it's
That
if
cubby might have been for storing some records
I
from
would
back
think
then.
so. I believe that's a very accurate assessment there, Noah. Um, there's, this, nice little record player, all nicely done up, and see, $100. You know what? 100. Honestly, if you want something cool, you'd be only kidding the block, but $100 is more than reasonable, in my opinion. Yeah, you have to deal with the transformer, something to do with the step down voltage, but but that's okay.
And do
With
you think there's any issue with frequency, like 50 hertz versus 60, or is it just the voltage?
That's a good question. I do not know. Um,
That would obviously have an effect on the speed of the turntable as well.
yeah, that's true. It's I'm not sure. But I mean, look at it. It's actually a terrific looking cabinet and
It's
all.
way cool looking.
Isn't it? I saw it and I said, wow, I'd love to take this one home just because it's just cool.
Wonder if
Yeah.
it comes with the furniture dolly.
I think probably if you can move it, it probably could get that for a reasonable price to move it along. I don't know. Maybe that Ford Flex is coming our way, right? Right, Noah? Oh, here's a Victrola.
Mm.
A little worse for wear, but not too bad. You know, more than
A
more than
wicker
some. It's a
Victrola.
wicker. It's in pretty good shape. What does it say there? Play needs regreasing, regreasing. I think is what he's saying. So $75. Pretty interesting. What we got here?
big old Philco.
Yeah, pretty decent shape, I'd say, because I think that's just the well, no, are those scratches or is that really the
I have
finish
no
of these?
idea.
I was trying to think of the side with it because it's all around. It almost looks as if it were intended that way.
Yeah, that's a photo finish.
Oh, okay, thank you. It's in
It's
pretty good shape.
actually it's a 1942. I had the table model version of that. It had the same chassis. And if you look, it's got the early FM band and the AM
Oh,
and shortwave. Each of those buttons controls that. I think there's about 4 or 5 preset push buttons left over.
cool. Yeah, it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
We had a good number of consoles showing up the past show. There's another Victrola, pretty nice shape. Does that say Columbia? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Columbia.
looks like it.
Look at that. Pretty cool.
Looks like it even has a red label Columbia record on it.
Yeah, maybe let's go see if we can get close. I say I lose the resolution.
Yeah.
I'll have to go with your thought there, Noah. Oh yeah, this was neat. A clock radio. Is this a Philco? I forgot who made this. Or is
Is
it
that one
just
of
a
those
clock?
cowl bears or made by
Sorry.
Westinghouse?
Yeah,
I
it's
think
a
it might be.
Westinghouse. You got it. It is a Westinghouse. You can see it's faded, but you can see it, the logo.
That or it's just a lot of dirt on the glass.
It could be. it could very well be. It could be just I don't remember, but it was like kind of neat.
They call those a column-air or something like that.
Column.
They're made, yeah, they're made in 31, 32, somewhere around that time frame.
That was a combined radio and clock, or it's just pure
Radio and
clock?
clock.
Yeah.
There's a radio in there, I think on the side.
Okay.
Kind of looks like an early gas pump.
Yeah. You know that.
It does.
Ka-ching, ka-ching. Yeah, exactly.
Put those big glass globes on top of it.
Yeah, there you go. Standard or oil.
Actually, it's backwards because the gas pumps that look like that are called clock face gas pumps. So it's not really a gas pump clock radio. It's the other way around.
Yeah.
Well, you can only have an AM FM gas pump, right?
It's not quite as rare as the AM FM can opener.
Yeah, it's
Or you have a
true.
radio named Ethel.
Right. See, where do we?
So it looks like a Philco chair side from about early 30s.
You got it. I think I see the word Philco there. If I look, I think that says Philco. It's a little hard to
Yeah.
see, but I believe you're right there, Greg.
I think that might have been their first chair side.
Never seen one of them before.
Solid size chair side, I'll tell you. It's got some height to
Yeah.
it.
It's almost more like a table.
Yeah.
Kitchen
It's a
table.
chair side for an NBA player, I guess.
Yeah. Right. Right. Pretty cool. Oh, was this Howard's? I think Howard's, but I wanted to get it. Yeah, I think this is Howard's because it's obviously powered up and it's got a tuning eye, which only screams Howard, because we know Howard's our tuning eye king.
1940 Zenith.
Very attractive. He was asking reasonable money too. I'd not minded having that at all if I had the space. Oh, here's that Silvertone.
Silvertone.
Yeah, I love it. The nice big tuning eye.
Big dial.
I love Silvertone dial faces. They're just cool. Very elegant.
Mm.
Yeah. This one's not too bad. Yeah, it needs some grill cloth and some cosmetics, but obviously it works. So somebody may be at least done the electronics.
And they were good at having a knob for every possible function you could
Yeah,
think
exactly.
Yeah, I
One's
guess
volume, one's off on, one's tone.
it was called one-upsmanship, you know.
Yeah.
Ah,
Uniden.
They
here's
had cats.
I have one of these. I have a second one. I bought this exact one, not this one at the show, but I bought one. They're actually pretty cool. These use the green. This is 1985. I think they became Uniden in the early 80s or something, because between, you said the one I have that I showed before that I bought at the show was just Bearcat, a Regency Bearcat, and I think that was 82, and I think between 82 and 85 they got bought or merged with Uniden. And this one, funny enough, it picks up at the time the cell phone ban. They tell you shouldn't be listening to cell phone bans because it's a privacy thing. Now, today it doesn't matter because everything's encrypted, so you can't really
Well,
hear.
you remember too, John, they had the cordless phones that
Yes.
operated around 49 megacycles, and you could pick it up easily with one of these. When I first moved to my house here, I was listening to like 3 of my neighbors talk on their cordless phones. Hilarious.
So you spend the moments. Doris is getting a divorce.
Anything on TV? No. All right, great. Let's turn on the scanner.
Catch up on neighborhood gossip.
Exactly. It's actually pretty cool. It uses, instead of the red LED, it has the typical phosphorescent green LED. That's a big changeover from the red LED of the other one I
That
have.
49 megacycle range too. They used them on baby monitors. Whoever had a baby in the neighborhood, I knew had the baby.
So they can spread baby gossip as well on top of it.
Yep. Yeah, you knew where all the college kids lived.
Yeah. But exactly, yeah. But yeah, it's actually I like it. It's a terrific little piece, and built. Mine has the original. I have the original box, And the box is in pretty good shape, the manuals, accessories, and stuff like that, so it's in really, really good shape. So nice little piece. So great for listening to airport traffic. So it's a very happy with it. This is Joe, by the way, it's Joe Coco's table. I didn't even notice he was selling this. I looked right through it, but I ended up buying the other guy's one anyway with the manual. But here's a nice little, if you're looking for CB radio, the old Cobras.
11-meter Good Buddy radio.
That's right, Breaker 19, Breaker 19. Watch your reruns of what was that
Smokey and
TV
the
show?
Bandit.
That, and also there was a TV show. Hold on, what was it called? Moving On. And the
Oh,
remember
the guy that was the truck driver.
exactly.
Yeah, I forget his name. Chet Atkins?
Claude Akins.
Or Claude Akins.
Claude Akins, yeah.
I remember I watched that as a kid, and in fact, I'll go on a very short tangent. Is for my maybe Christmas or birthday, my dad bought, and they made a model kit of Moving On truck. So my brother kindly built it for me, painted exactly the green. It was like an emerald green. It came with all the decals for the stripes, that a light green inset stripes, and so he did a terrific job on it. I did some of the work, but he did the vast majority of it. So that was my pride and joy. And someday I'll dig up a photo. I have a photo somewhere on one of my that I took a photo of it, and I fooled my aunts because they thought it was a truck in our driveway. Because I got down on my stomach and took the photo. It was just a regular old Instamatic, and they said, I said they said, yeah, there's a truck in our driveway, and they didn't stop to look at the scale for a moment. And then I said, no, it's actually a model. He goes, and they were shocked how good it was. I wish I still had it, but I just got lost in the move and shuffle and whatever. I even had a trailer, had the AMT trailer, had that big, long scaled refrigerator reefer trailer. Yeah, I had it all. Back off tangent. Of course, Joe's table, his daughter typically mans the table for him when Joe's roving about. Here was a nice little Motorola AM/FM portable there. Oh, hey, this is interesting. A Telefunken. This is a newer one. This is a Magnaphone 97. I think it's a 97. Because my dad, I think, had an 87 that was vacuum tube solely. This may be tube as well, but even had a little tuning eye, it must have been. I'm not sure what the tuning eye actually did, because tuning eye is probably not a good term, because it's obviously not a tuner, but it probably has something. I know what they did, but it glowed.
It was like recording level thing. I think
Maybe.
Tambour uses those kind of.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Oh, there we go. We got a guest here. Well,
Yep.
but yeah, I thought that was very. You don't see. I saw actually. What's his name? Art was selling an 87. I almost bought it from him, but I was like, oh, what am I going to do with this thing? Because it was the same one my dad had the same sort of dark olive green case. And I said, oh, I'd love to have it for sentimental reasons. But I thought, what am I going to do with this thing? It's just going to take up space. But you don't see these too often. And I know that Claire was selling that terrific Wallensack, which is, that was in fact, I know I have a photo of it. It will eventually hit it.
Yeah, the only thing was it doesn't have its power cord, apparently. I don't know if you can get something that will work with it, but
Well,
would make it worth selling it, I think, if I had a power cord.
Well, yeah, I have to believe, unless I had a special connection in the back, I would think you could probably, find one or gin one up, because it depends what the back connection was.
Yeah, it's in really good shape.
I remember it's in really
Yeah.
nice shape. Better than the shape of this Telefunken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. This one is probably like, early mid 60s, I'd say, this Telefunken, roughly speaking.
Yeah, I think the Wallensack recorder would probably use a power cord that's interchangeable with a Norelco shaver. I don't know.
Oh, I love that. I'll just buy a shaver.
There you go.
I don't need a power cord.
But look in the back. I had to believe that one could be found, or
Yeah.
in a pinch, maybe eBay. That a lot of those walnut sacks were made. It wouldn't surprise me if there was something special you could find on eBay and you'd be done,
Mm-hmm.
for maybe reasonable money. Invariably a TO or two or three or 10. Oh, I think she was
That's
quite a
that
nice.
is that is either an A600 or a B600 from 1958, and I'll tell you why I know that. You look at the first shortwave band, you can see the broadcast band on the bottom. The
Mhm.
first shortwave band that's right directly above it, it's going from 4 to 9 megacycle, and only the
Yep.
A and the B600 have that.
Ah,
Mm.
good catch. Good piece of tidbit. There's
I
all.
know these like the back of my hand. There, I probably have 20 more in the basement.
Yep. Well, we had a bunch of TOs because I remember John Wetherell. He said he had a bunch of them. He had maybe, in fact, I may have a photo later of probably, he must have had at least pushing a dozen of them of varying models. He goes, I gotta get rid of these things. He said they're starting to get heavy. Uh,
No, my dad's got one in the basement. I think he may have bought it when he was a kid, to be honest.
wow.
Yeah. Um, that's what he used to fire up, sometimes at night when I was really, really young. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, there may be some sentimental value there.
Yeah, that might be mine, but yeah, that's definitely, you look at something and you go, my dad used to turn that on in the middle of, the evening, and we used to sit around and, figure out what he could
These are the
find.
radios that were
Yeah.
integral for me getting into the hobby. My
Yeah.
late uncle was in Korea and bought
Mm-hmm.
one of these when he was serving, and that just kind of got the bug. It was for literally one of these H500 that's right on the John's got up on the thing.
Yeah.
They actually made more of that model than any other of the model of the Transoceanics. They made them from 1951 to 1953, and there was literally 4 different variants of that radio.
Mm.
And D must be the last variant, I guess.
Um, I don't know. The very last variant is real odd and it's kind of rare. Rare doesn't necessarily equate to
Okay.
value, but the very last version of that radio, it actually had a socket for a 50A1 ballast tube, which went into the later transoceanics, the L, the R, the T, and up
Oh,
up
okay.
the newer radio food chain. But you could run the 50A1 with or without being in the socket in that radio. And I had one, and I flipped it, and I should have kept the thing because I've only seen like one other one. So
Yeah, I don't think
chances
I've ever seen
are,
one.
I don't know if this is the one or not, but I don't know where he come up with the D, but
Hmm.
it's still a cool radio. They're just a lot of fun.
Hmm. Bruce Phillips was selling these pair of AR-10 Pies, 350, which is, these are pretty good speakers, pretty darn good speakers. And he had quite a nice receiver. I'll show you that. There he goes. That was this.
Oh, that's a 400, I think.
400, yeah.
I have one of them.
Yeah, he was selling the set, if I recall correctly. He had a show special. Here we go. So he's selling this
500,
500
500D.
for 500. There we go. There we go. That was um for the gang. The Helicrafters S47 even has FM. There. 50
That's a
bucks.
rare beast, man, right
Yeah,
there.
because you don't see them with FM that often.
Now,
These repair
I
50
think
bucks. That's
there
it.
was a mall of Howlcrafters that had an FM band on it, but it was just this huge, big behemoth of a radio. This is probably no different. This S47, that's what it's tagged
Yeah.
as. I've
Yep.
never seen one before until I
Yeah.
saw this.
Yeah. And it's in pretty cosmetic and pretty decent shape. And I thought, wow, 50 bucks. But I was like, but looks like it had the service manual and things like that. So you could at least go in there and deal with it. Okay, something old. This looks like an AK.
Oh yeah, AK-40.
I see a little Arcturus tube in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Little blue glass toe globe tube in there.
Yeah.
that's a lot like the one Santa Claus was oming,
Oh yeah.
little whipped cream and
That's right.
Reohm it.
Reoming.
re-oming. That's right.
Classic. Classic. There we go. There's
Oh, Model
This is-
660 Zenith.
yep.
Just the perspective with the person behind it, or is it really that big?
Um, it's good size. It's pretty tall.
It's a little bit bigger than a Halcrafter's S120.
Yeah. With this Zenith.
Yes.
Something you see all that often, honestly. This digital core synthesized receiver. That was kind of cool to say, I've never seen one of these with the cassette deck. I thought, how often do you see this? It's usually invariably,
I don't think I've ever seen one, John.
yeah, it caught my eye. I said, I don't think I've ever seen one either. And I said, um, this must be like presets. It must be a fairly high-end Zenith, for the day. So I thought that was really interesting. All these little function buttons and these are preset buttons. Yeah,
Zenith was never one to be, into the high-end audio market. This was kind of like consumer grade
yeah,
stuff.
maybe.
It was still made with a level of quality, but it just wasn't,
Yeah,
really stout or could hold a, torch to a Marantz or a Kenwood or
exactly.
any of those.
This thing, I didn't really have time to really examine it because it's sitting at the bottom of the pile. If it had been at the top of the pile, I would have looked at it more carefully. I mean, some of those ones I was like, oh, you take him home,
You gotta buy a can of deoxit on your way home.
Exactly. Well, okay, go right over. I have like a couple in my,
All those
but
buttons and
yeah, exactly. You take the pull. Most of those, at least, it was easy to get the most of the time that it was easy to get the thing out of the case.
yeah.
One thing I'll say, with those solid state receivers like this, getting them in and out was a lot easier. Um, Here's a Traveler. That was pretty cool. 29.95. Or no, maybe
And a
that's
Telechron clock.
$30. He was asking, yeah, I know, a Telecron clock. I was like, well, it's a pretty nice shape. Yeah, it's, could use a little bit of, touch up, but boy, I'll tell you, I think this was, what's his last name? Really nice guy. Dave, his last name comes to me later, but he was selling all these restored radios for very reasonable money. So this Traveler, this is $30. I mean, $30? I mean, this, if especially, I think he did all the restoration. So, basically, has been in my collection for 10 years. I am selling at a $20 loss to pass on to another collection. So basically, you get this, terrific little system that's probably been gone through. It's got a nice looking case, a mahogany case, and you get this nice Telecron. It's, sure, great little Telecron clock piece. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Plus, is that a light or something when it's on? It must be like a light or or something that, oh no, maybe it's a reflection.
Just
Never
the
mind.
yeah, the
It's a
normal.
reflection. I thought it was a light. I realized the other one's the same way. It's just a reflection. That was really cool and very reasonably priced. Here's the Zenith. That was kind of cool looking, this Zenith.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of these because the celluloid dial got destroyed on a lot of them. They were just,
Yeah.
kids would throw a ball up against it and it would crack and
Yeah.
stuff like
This
that.
is this one's a really good shape.
That's actually in very nice condition. You don't see these around too often.
I remember when I was towards the middle part of the show, there was a guy, I know he's a longtime club member because I've seen him buy a bunch of stuff. He bought like 4 radios for the guy for something like 50 or $60. He got a steal.
All right.
There's this GE,
I've got that one. It's cute.
30 bucks. $30. He's done all the work for it. Again, another turnkey, from 1960. In nice shape.
All right. So this is a tube one. They actually made these in transistor and they used the same cases on them. So you have to ask the
Mine's
dopey question, well, is it
Oh,
tube or transistor?
yeah,
So if it's
mine's a tube one.
1960, it's probably still a four tuber.
well, actually, this one used to work, but as long, I guess I see it's got problems judging from this. But still, if you want to,
It probably needs a sling rectifier if it's low.
you know, more. So I guess he just didn't want to deal with it. So, for $30, you could probably do the repairs and you'd get a pretty nice radio and flip it later for the same price or more. It's a Royal radio. I guess another one you don't see all that often.
I had one of these. I had one of these, and I was
Blonder
getting ready
tongue.
to do the restoration on it,
Blonder or
and
tongue.
Blonder
someone
tongue.
had slipped out to people in the club that I had this radio, and ultimately, I'm not going to name names, but someone squeezed it out of me, and I basically did a cosmetic restoration on it because we had Ike Blonder was a member, and Ben Tung were both members of the New Jersey Antique Radio Club. And I just did a cosmetic restoration on the one that I had that I acquired, and I donated it to the museum.
By Connor. So, engineer by. Yeah, so this is the National Radio Institute Connor Radio. Pretty cool.
Now this is Blonder Tongue.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading the thing and I'm
Are you
saying
reading the
that
one on the
doesn't.
paper? Oh, okay.
Okay, so I said that doesn't look right, and so I thought somehow this was tied to this, like And I said I'm trying to match this. Well, that doesn't look right, but I'm reading it. Yeah, that's kind of really cool. You don't see these very often.
Yeah, they make a lot of video equipment, video broadcast type stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a generator, Heathkit
Yeah.
generator.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. It's the capacitor tester.
You're right. Condenser test.
Capacitor, because I can
Yeah.
see the leakage thing
Yeah.
on the right there, and then the eye tube.
Gee,
These
that's
are
kind of cool.
phonic.
Yeah. Pretty cool. In pretty good shape overall. You don't see these all that often. 1954, I think it says, or 64. I like the color
It's
combination.
still got the Conrad markings on it,
Yes. Yes, indeed.
so that kind of gives it a date.
Right. And I think he said 54, if I read this correct. I think it says 54. General Electric. That seems about right. Pretty cool. I like the burgundy and gold tractor radio.
Oh,
Admiral.
an Admiral.
Yeah, pretty cool. Also a nice radio. Pretty nice shape. What was he asking for that? I think it says, and it's hard to say, it might say 50, which seems if it's been restored, it's probably not unreasonable. Helicopters are realistic.
Realistic scanner. You've got a B&K scope.
Yeah, I got the whole, not quite the variety here.
You can never go to these events and not see at least one of these S120s.
Oh, yeah. You be right.
They're almost like the ugly redheaded stepchild.
Yeah.
Somehow they managed to find me though. I mean, I did a repair for a guy. He gave me two radios. He gave me an S120 and something else. I fixed them both, and he didn't want the S120. He says, "Here, you can have it." If I know you're going to give it to me, I wouldn't have fixed it. I still have it. I'm probably going to bring it to Kutztown.
There you go. This is a Sears. This was a Sears. I thought, this is I wonder who made it for it, but I thought that was kind of neat just because it was again, a typical consumer grade system, but it was pretty well equipped for a radio of its time. It's got the, cassette and it's got all the buttons and I thought, well, okay, this is probably a little bit above their base level. So that was kind of cool.
I wonder who made that for Sears, though. I see
Yeah,
maybe Panasonic or one of them.
I wonder. It's kind
I
of
don't
cool.
think you can go wrong by buying Sears. I mean, they had such a reputation to maintain, and they always had a steady reputation of everything being real, just solid, you know?
I wanted to cry when our last Sears went away around here. I get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still buy even if I buy online, I still buy Craftsman tools. Occasionally because they still make pretty decent stuff. I still have my original set from it's given to me. My brother gave to me on my birthday or something like that, or Christmas back in the like early '80s. And I still have my socket set. You know.
I have a Kenmore dishwasher, which,
Yeah.
I bought this one like right before they they went under. And, I don't know how many years later, probably almost 20 now. It's great.
Still runs.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, of course. Yeah.
I have their vacuum.
Of course.
We
Of
got a couple.
course.
Yeah. Got a
You haven't
couple
been
of.
over to this house. Of course, we've been buying Chinese made stuff in the last 5 years of breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah. It was kind of cool though. Yeah, it's a
It is
better
a neat
look.
unit. I
Yeah,
wonder what the center display is, though,
yeah. I was trying to decide whether it's a digital display.
because
What would
there's
it
an
be showing?
analog display there for the
Yeah,
frequency.
yeah,
Would they put a digital one there?
yeah. I just don't know. I went to power. I was kind of curious. There's all these little, for recording. I think it's got recording LEDs. It's got all these. I thought, well, that's kind of cool. It's got all these little lights on there for center for the balance.
It's
Oh no,
FM
that's the
tuning.
tuner. That's the tuning eye for tuning in your station probably. Um, because they were using that even on like Panasonics and things like that. So I thought, all these things. I said, well, this is not your base system. And I thought that was intrigued me. I said, well, that's kind of cool, you know.
That's a good little bedroom, dorm room stereo.
Exactly. Tell you, if I had speakers, it might have been "Take Me Home," but
Mhm.
to play around with, Yep, because of signal generators goes
I
later.
go,
It's later caps. Yeah,
yeah, I've got a bunch of them in my basement. You want some?
yeah, yeah. It'd be kind of fun to have one, but if you look at it, say people would look with blank stare.
I had a Pennsylvania friend that I see at Cutstown. I see each other like 4 or 5 times a year. And he gave me a bunch of them because I gave him some tubes and stuff.
Yeah.
So I cleaned them up and I put them by the window where my wife's room is, and a lot of sun hits it and it kind of puts some color in the room.
Yeah, it's a nice color.
Mm.
Oh, there's a
Let's
Crosley.
see. Yeah. Nice little one. In fact, 165 is the price they're asking. Pretty nice shape. I hope it's restored internally. Looks to be in nice shape.
Well, the
Well,
most expensive part of that radio is the lucite dial pointer on it.
yeah, yeah, that's true. But
That's where all the money is.
indeed. The bulk of the 165. But well, it is 9:01. I should cut you guys off, cut you loose. I didn't want to overstay my welcome here. Well, next meeting will be more than likely a round robin. And if I have time, I can always show the remaining of these because we're almost done with the set, but we saw most of what we need to see. But because before long, we'll be able to go through Kutztown pictures, then we'll have Spring Brookline pictures. We have plenty stacked up of stuff we can talk about. But in the interim, I wish you all a good couple of weeks upcoming. And looking forward to our next meeting, early May, and enjoy the increasingly improving weather. All
Thank you,
right.
John.
Great seeing you all. And
Yeah.
we'll
Who's going to Kutztown, by the way?
got
Radio
Bob.
Wild is.
Let me stop my share. So we got one hand. Unfortunately, it will not be me, but I will get there one of these days. First, I need to probably retire. Then I can actually pull this off. But
I'm actually going to be in New Jersey, and it May 9th, 10th. I don't know whether I would get over to it, but it's only going to be like a couple hours from where I am in New Jersey, so it's more doable than I
What
thought. I mean,
if you don't mind me asking, Claire, what part of New Jersey?
oh, I'm in Newark. I've
Newark
got an
area?
Airbnb in Newark. Yes.
Okay.
So it says it's like an hour 50. So it not terrible. It
From
could be a
Newark is
nice
probably
drive
close to
on
New
a
to
Friday.
get to Kutztown from Newark, it's probably about 2 hours.
Yeah.
I can do it from my house in about an hour and 40, hour and 45 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I start a job at the beginning of May, which is why I'm not going to be at the Brooklyn
Hmm.
meeting, but and I'll be down there for a couple of months. But now that you've mentioned that, it's close. Maybe I just take a little gander, and it sounds like kind of fun over there. So yeah.
Yeah, and so if you have a large enough vehicle, you may come home with more than you arrived with.
Yeah, well, I'll have a whole car full of gear that I'm traveling with for this job. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to next time at the round robin, maybe I'll show some pictures and have you guys tell me what's worth keeping. I mean, I have my little favorites that I have here that I just love because of the style of them, but um yeah, certainly there's some things I want to hold on to. I've got my own little radio collection here, so it's
Excellent.
kind of nice.
Excellent. No, that's, sometimes the sentimental, even if it's a rather mundane, piece, sentimental value can take priority, you
Yeah,
know.
but there's some that are just like really cool
Oh
looking.
yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't ever remember seeing this. It's something he picked up while I was, away, but this is cool. I could have this on my shelf and feel kind of like
Well, here's the thing,
Yeah.
we're all
cool.
collectors, and the magic of this hobby or any hobby where you collect things, you collect the things you like.
Hmm.
I have this thing with seeing Transoceanics. Tom likes Enigma stuff. John likes the European German radios. Greg just
Hmm.
takes about anything and everything and rolls over his war stuff.
And brings it
And you
back
know
from
it's
the
got a
brink of
big
death.
good collection. I have no idea what Rob has, but you collect what you like. I have a friend in the New Jersey club that collects nothing but green radios.
Oh,
Huh.
wow.
Don't ask me why, but
Yeah.
that's what he likes. So every time I get a green radio, I send him I take a couple pictures of it and send them an email. Would you be interested in this radio?
I've got a couple of green ones too. So who knows? Maybe I've got
Who
something your
knows?
friend would like. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to round robin next time. I think it will be fun. I'm looking forward to hopefully showing some stuff. I've done a lot of photography, so um yeah, I do. That was the first thing, getting it so that people could see what I have. So that will be fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think carefully about selling things that are nifty because all of us have sold things that we really regretted selling. And, just an extra thought might save you the pain of, oh my God, I sold that.
No, there's definitely some nifty things in my dad's collection that I'm like, I like that. I just like it. So
Keep it.
yeah,
Hold
Yeah.
on to it.
good
Yeah.
advice. Good advice.
But we'll happily help you in your decision process. You say something, say, no, don't get rid of it. Keep it.
Yeah, yeah. No, happy to hear all the advice. Super happy. So
Super. Well, then we're looking forward to seeing you all in a couple of weeks. And we'll definitely do a round robin then. So great. Thanks, everybody. It was truly nice seeing you all. Thanks for attending and looking forward to the next meeting.
Thank
All
you,
right.
John.
Take care. Safe
Take care,
travels, Claire.
everybody.
thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.